Hi, I'm Vicky Denton, Editor-in-Chief of F+L Asia Ltd. And today I'm at the booth of Metall Chemie. The company is based in Hamburg, Germany, and we've got two gentlemen with us, René Fresen and Thomas Graf. Welcome to Singapore.
Thank you, Vicky. It's a pleasure being here.
Nice to meet you.
So I believe, René, you presented yesterday at the exhibitor presentations.
Correct.
So maybe you can rehash a little bit about what the company does, what you offer to the industry.
Well, in very easy words, we are a manufacturer of diverse additives, mainly in the field of corrosion protection or in the field of extreme pressure anti-wear additives. But what we really offer to the customers is peace of mind. So we want to ensure that no matter whether legislation, regulation, supply chain volatility keeps away certain additives, we want to make sure that the customers can still manufacture, either by replacing existing products or by inventing new ones.
Yeah, I'm a senior sales manager responsible for EMEA area, and I'm here with René and the entire team to also to show up to explain the people what we are doing, how we can support them, making market research, looking for new clients, and also giving some technical information to them,
Yes.
to train them on our technology, have some exchange.
So what makes your additives different from your competitors?
I would say it's not necessarily the additives, it's more the way that we work with our customers. Because we have certain standard products that we're supplying, but the key is really because we understand organic chemistry. We understand the chemistry behind the molecule. And that is where we try to support our customers, whether they have a performance issue or whether they want to invent something new or whether a certain product has been displaced by one of their key suppliers. It's up then to us to really make sure that they can get the product they were relying on even in the future. So it is really being the partner from a development perspective that makes us different. And last but not least, it's the people. Because we are a very small team of experts in their field. So being a chemist that understands chemistry, being a regulatory guy that has done it before, we know on how to really try to reduce the complexity from the customers. And I think that is what makes us special. So it's not necessarily the product, but it's the expertise that we have, the setup that we have and the attitude towards solving the problems of the customers.
And of course, you're based in Germany, and the EU is
Yes.
like, I would say, probably the region that has experienced the most number of changes in terms of what's allowed in the formulation and what's not allowed. And that's a particular challenge, isn't it?
It is definitely. We have different, over the world, different chemical regulations. Sometimes it happen, it's allowed in Europe, but or opposite. It's not allowed in Europe, but in other regions. But on the other hand, we also have to serve the global operating customers, and therefore there is a necessity to have the products available even here in Asia Pacific, and that's why we also have to make sure that the products come to our customers.
Yeah, and of course, the chemical regulation called REACH, right? That started in the EU, but that has actually spread out in other countries, including Asian countries like South Korea. I think Australia also has something. So with that, how different are the Asian regulations for chemicals versus the EU? Or are we now kind of harmonized in that sense?
The answer to that one is yes and no. Well, the good thing is that some countries are orientating themselves on, for example, the European legislation, which makes things a lot of easier. And we now have Turkey REACH, we have Korea REACH, we have China, the China chemical inventory. So there are a couple of individual systems coming up. The issue is less related on the regulation, on the process as such, but the acceptance of studies that has been made that lead to the classification. And for example, Japan doesn't except, for example, tests that has been run in Europe in certain institutes and vice versa. And that is really driving the complexity. So
And that means you have to rerun the test in Japan and only in a Japanese lab. So that adds cost.
yeah, and that is a real issue.
And it's unavoidable, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. It is avoidable because for different reasons. It costs extra cost. It costs extra time. It makes the life of the formulators much more tricky because when they have a global business, they would love to have a global formulation. Well, they need to have a supplier that is capable to ensure that the product they will be using survives from a regulatory perspective, not only in one country, but in all the other countries. And that's adding additional complexity. Whereas in non-regulated markets, this is definitely, or they have an advantage. So we get a shift in competitive rivalry, depending where you are located and where you're exporting to.
And this is where you come in. You value add to the customer.
Absolutely, because that's the reason why, even being a very small company, we have our own regulatory department. And what we quite often do is we have perform workshops with our customers in terms of what is capable from a chemistry perspective, how does regulatory influence, by the way, where do you want to sell? Okay, we need to consider this and that. And then sometimes a molecule that may be accepted in the one or the other country may not in the other one. So we need to twist and tweak a little bit the molecule to make it being usable in the long term. And that's where we really come in.
I can sense you've been in this industry for a long time.
Not really.
How many years?
Well, I think he's more the expert in the lubricant industry, while I'm in the chemical industry for 35 years, but the topic is roughly the same. In the lubricant industry, I've been working for a formulator for a couple of years, but in this role and being on the additive side, it's only 1 year.
Okay. But chemical, this is still chemistry. Lubricants is still chemistry, right?
Lubricants is not only chemistry, it's also tribology. So it means you have to get into the application knowledge and such and such. And for me, it's always 25 years being in the industry. Of course, there's every day is a new learning day, and I really, or also the entire team, appreciate having the discussions, whether it will be chemical regulation related, product regulated, or about the application itself, to have a daily training.
But you've seen a lot, right? I mean, 25 years,
Yeah,
a lot of changes.
a lot of changes, and yeah, different people from different countries. Very exciting.
The interesting thing is, well, there's always a hype for hiring the young people. I don't want to say that he's quite old, but he's very experienced with 25. And I just want to say that is one of the reasons we hired a couple of these experts in the past 12 months to really get the expertise and the vast experience these guys have on board of Metall Chemie. So really to enhance the way on how we see the world, they will bring in and enlighten us where we even can go better. So I'm quite happy to have that we could convince Thomas, and he's only one of 3 people that have joined recently, to join our team and bring in his expertise, and also is challenging us, which is moving us forward.
I think it's always good to be challenged.
Definitely, Vicky.
Last question, René, for you. How do you see the Asian market? Right now, the whole world is full of, you talk about complexity in chemical regulation. Well, how about the geopolitical situation, right? Tariffs. So the EU and the US tariffs, you know, the China tariffs, how are you positioning your strategy where, if you're looking at an export market, because Germany, the economy has been traditionally good, but recently hasn't been good. How do you position yourself for future growth? Which regions are you targeting?
Well, definitely, it's an interesting time, and there are a couple of things. Let me answer the first part of your question, which is how do we perceive Asia? I think Asia has a bright future because we have an increasing economy there, increasing wealth of the population, technology advancements, getting up to speed around here. In former times, it was that technologies were copycat. Now they are invented here, and it's taking other way. So from that perspective, I would say many Asian countries, even the small target states, are improving significantly, growing like hell. So from a From a technology perspective, quite interesting countries. From a consumer and sales perspective, definitely. We are yet not really represented here, and that's why we are here. We want to showcase who is Metall Chemie and how we hopefully also can support the Asian companies. And we want to do that with the knowledge that we have gained in Europe, with the interaction with all these multinationals, because we are proud to say that we are mainly dealing with many multinationals that have subsidiaries here, but also with what I would call the local heroes, the really fast-growing local companies. I think we hopefully can support them in getting a closer understanding about the components, not only about the packages, about the components. So from that perspective, it's an interesting market technology-wise, as well as from a customer perspective, and I believe we can add value with the experience that we have gained in Europe.
Very well said. Last question for you, Thomas.
Yeah.
What's your biggest challenge? Your regional head for this market.
I think here we are talking also about melting pot, different cultures. So that means the way how to do business might be completely different to Europe, to other regions of the world. So I guess this is also very good to get the right understanding, to find the right people, and to get trust. Trust is what we are believing in, and this is what we also like to get and bring to our potential clients in this market.
I think you really hit the spot, because as someone was telling me yesterday, Asia is a very personal, person-to-person oriented culture.
Yeah.
And maybe perhaps Europe and the United States are less so. So trust is very important, and you really, it takes time to develop trust.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's not the first and the last time we will be here. So it's for us just the beginning.
Oh, thank you so
starting.
much. And the best of luck. And we'll see you whenever I'm in Europe.
Thank you very much. You are highly invited to see our laboratories and have a more in-depth discussion. And we're already looking forward having follow-up meetings around here, but also participating next year. And it's very nice giving us the opportunity to present ourselves. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. I look forward to visiting you in Hamburg. I heard it's a beautiful city.
Yeah.
It is.
Great. Well, thank you so much, both of you. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you,
Thank
René.
you, Vicky.
Have a
It
great
was really
day.
a pleasure.